We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, the podcast where we explore the art of songwriting, celebrate incredible artists, and dive deep into the stories behind their music. I'm your host, Simon Fink, and as always, thank you for joining us. Our guests today on the podcast are Canadian punk legends Pup. The Toronto four-piece have been making music together since 2010 and over the years have built one of the most exciting and respected careers in alternative music. Across 4 studio albums, they've earned praise from outlets like the New York Times, NPR, Stereogum, Vulture, Pitchfork, and The Guardian, just to name a few. In May, they added Lucky Album number 5 to their discography with Who Will Look After the Dogs. It's a record that sees frontman Stefan Babcock at his most self-deprecating, but also his most introspective and vulnerable. The album feels like a natural evolution for Pup, loud, clever, chaotic, but with a newfound clarity running beneath the noise. Alongside its release, they also announced a massive world tour, which brings them back to Australian stages this coming August. In today's episode, we're chatting with Stefan and guitarist Steve Sladkowski about the making of Who Will Look After the Dogs and how, this time around, the band went into the process completely aligned on their creative direction. We discuss working with acclaimed producer John Congleton and how his presence pushed them to try new techniques and challenge their comfort zones. We also talk about the emotional weight of certain songs and how overworking a track can change an artist's relationship to it. And of course, we'll also chat about what fans can expect from their upcoming Australian tour. Now, we want to say a massive thank you to Amy for her help with today's episode and remind everyone that Pup's brand new record, Who Will Look After the Dogs, is out now. You'll find links in today's show notes on where you can buy the album, grab tickets to their Australian shows, and follow the band across their socials. Now, while you're in the show notes, make sure to subscribe to this very podcast and follow us across all of our socials. This way, you'll never miss an episode or any of the incredible guests that we have coming up. Now, let's get into it. Here is our conversation with Stefan and Steve from Pup.
Holy shit! What a concept! I wanna hear who you're dragging under. It seems like every year I swear you're getting dumber.
Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Stefan and Steve from the band Pup. Gentlemen, hello. How's it going?
Hi.
Good. Nice to see you.
It's lovely to see you. It's lovely to be speaking with you both. I very much appreciate both of you spending some time with us today on the podcast to chat about a brand new Pup record. I'm curious to begin with, how does it feel, I guess, starting up the machine again, having to, the record's coming out now, you've got fans eagerly awaiting to hear this. From the band's perspective, does it get any easier with the 5th record round, having to jump into doing all the press and PR and things like that?
I think now that everyone is used to Zoom, it's maybe a little bit easier to do stuff like this for sure. And there's also some stuff that I just like forget. And it's not to do with press, but like how mundane and boring some of the stuff. I've like gone through and like tested to make sure all of my cables work. Mm-hmm. Just like little stuff like that where you're like, yeah, there's an hour of my day. Like it has to be done. Like it's funny. It's that mix of like excitement and utter just like skull numbing. Boring, mundane tasks.
Mm-hmm. I think that's very, very fair. I think the days of, interviews on private jets are now 5 Zoom calls within an hour. So look, I very much appreciate, regardless of where we're taking this interview today, I appreciate both of your time very much. Talking about Who Will Look After the Dogs, the brand new Pup record, the 5th one in the catalogue from the band. Firstly, congratulations. How are both of you feeling with the record coming out now? Stefan, I might ask you first.
I'm excited. I mean, we finished this record like a year ago, so it's been a long time coming. I'm really fucking proud of this record. I think, we've worked really hard at all of our records. Like we put everything into it, and this is a record that I just feel like we were all in the right headspace to make at this moment, where that's not always the case. Like there's sometimes you work really hard and you're not in the right headspace to make a record with the people you're making a record with. And I think this one was not that. This was a record that felt like the right time, the right place, the right people. And I'm really, really excited for the world to hear it.
I absolutely love that. Steve, what about yourself?
Yeah, it's one of those things that you, I guess, even speaking a little bit to your previous point, you're like, wait after you've worked on this thing for so long for it to come out, that like you just you almost forget that like no one's heard the music until the thing comes out. And so it's just nice to be able to have that out. I mean, working with John was a dream, I think, and just, yeah, like the songs are like, I keep working on them and practicing and getting ready for tour, and I'm excited to play them, which I think, like as Stefan said, sometimes you're not in that headspace. You feel maybe like it's not, you have to refine the connection you have to the music, but that hasn't been the case here. Like it's really exciting. Like, I'm excited to start playing it in front of people.
100%. I think it is. We've been very lucky enough to have a listen to it before it is coming out, and it is a fantastic record. So congratulations to you both. It's something that you should both be very proud of. And what I love about this record is there's almost like a frantic energy to this record, that there seems to be an element of diving straight in. We're not mucking about. We're not kind of like easing the listener into it, which I kind of love. It was business from the first second in. Wondering, with each record that the band does put out, is there a conversation of what you guys want to achieve or what you want to kind of do or take the record in each way? Or is it that you discover that as you've kind of already begun the songwriting, and that it's more of an organic discovery where it's kind of led the band in a way, if that makes sense?
I think it usually starts to take shape like in the writing process. Maybe when we're like four songs in, we start realizing what kind of record we're writing and making. And this record definitely felt like we wanted to make like a really scrappy rock record. Like we wanted to kind of go back to our roots. Or, the first record we made in a specific way because we didn't have time or money. And this record, we wanted to do the same thing, except it was a decision that we had the luxury of making rather than we're forced to make. I just think like sometimes you overcook songs, and especially us, we're all like pretty neurotic people. And I think we were just in this headspace where it's like we were writing stuff that felt special to us, and that we should just kind of get in the studio and just record and do it faster than we usually do it. We did this record in half the time that we did our last one in, and not concern ourselves with tons of overdubs or perfection or anything like that, and more try and capture like the spirit of what this band is and what these songs are, and how we sound live. And I think we really did that. Like, I think that there's like full sections of this record where we sound like shit in a good way. Like, where maybe in the past it wouldn't have flown, like I sing out of key or whatever. And in the past we would have just definitely been like, we're going to go back and do another take because we've got time. And this time it was just like, if it felt good, it felt good. And we weren't going to like sit there and nitpick, like it was all just about having it feel right rather than it feel perfect.
100%. I imagine that there's a sense of freedom that comes with that, and it allows yourselves to be a little bit more spontaneous with what you're doing. If there is, I guess less, what's the word? Not grading. If you're focusing less on the perfection of it and more so like the feel, the vibe, for lack of a better term, that then it allows you to kind of do different things with that freedom as well.
Mm-hmm. We did have a thing called the vibe jar where, you had to put $1 in this jar every time you said the word vibe. So I'll invoice you for that one. We'll
I
send
was
it to
going to
John
say,
Congleton.
yeah, send me the details. I'll sort that one out after we wrap this up.
John was, I think, but like even just like Stefan bringing up the vibe jar, it's so interesting to kind of think back about how John's kind of philosophy to making records pushed us in like different ways, right? He was the guy kind of being like, we can do this in 3 weeks. And I think there was a little bit of trepidation on our part. And where in the past we maybe would have shied away from that discomfort a little bit, like, and said, no, we've never done it like that before. So it means that there's no way we'll be able to do it. I think this time we kind of embraced that and like kind of imposed that restriction or limitation in a way that pushed us, I think, to more surprising, like creative places.
100%. The John that we are talking about, for anyone who might not be aware, John Congleton, producer extraordinaire, very busy man. I think we've spoken to a few artists this year. I think we've spoken with like Mogwai and Sharon Van Etten, both who worked with John in the last 12 months. So he's obviously doing something right. But what was it that for yourselves and for Pup made John the right choice? Obviously, I know that there's a lot of talk about what that experience was like once you were in there, but prior to recording, had you worked with him before this record?
No. He's just a funny motherfucker. Like
that's what I was going to say too. Yeah, that was going to be my first thing.
he's one of the funniest people I think I've ever met, and like he instantly, we had a call with him and just instantly felt like this is the guy, we're connected. Like he gets our humor, which is such an important part of our band. Like the humor element of the band is like really important to us. And also it's just a music aside, it's just an important, it's an important part of feeling good when you're making music, being able to laugh and remember that like playing in a band is supposed to be fun. And he's really good at that. And an incredible producer who's just like, you know, like I think if we were going to go make the record that we made before this, which is like our version of a maximalist record, it wouldn't be a maximalist record by most people's standards, but by our standards, a complete maximalist record. Like he wouldn't have been the guy because he likes to work fast. He likes to work off feel rather than perfection, which is what we're talking about and what we were looking for. And he's just an incredible combination of like a great producer who shared the same philosophy about making records as the record we were making, and like just had us laughing the whole time. And yeah, having a good time while making a record was, I don't know for you, Steve, like maybe you want to talk about it, but for me, it was a first. Like it was the first time, like the whole time making the record, I was in kind of a good mood and enjoyed myself and wasn't completely stressed out and annoyed. So there's something pretty important to be said for that. I think you can hear the good vibes, the good vibes on the record.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think John, even in moments like there are always moments making a record where I feel like one of us has a meltdown. Like that is, but that to me doesn't feel like dangerous or like it's going to derail anything. Like, and I think that was especially true. Like I had a meltdown one day. We were working on the song Shut Up, and I just like couldn't figure out what I was going to do in a section that was meant to be this kind of like bubbling, drony sort of weird thing underneath what Stefan was playing. And I just like, I had clearly lost my mind, and like whatever I was doing was fine, you know, like, and John sort of let it happen and let me kind of finish and shut it down. Didn't let me listen to it. We came back a couple of days later, and I don't even know if I knew which take he had used, you know, like, so there was just stuff like that. Like he has this really innate sense of how to keep things flowing kind of a positive way and not letting you kind of get trapped in your, like a prison of your own making, essentially. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of speaks to what Stefan was saying. Like, even in those moments where you might be overthinking or like prone to sort of beat yourself up or like try to overcompensate for something because you don't feel like you're playing it well or that your part is sounding good, whatever, you know, all these like neuroticisms. He just would be like, shut the fuck up. It's good. It's interesting. There's energy, and we're going to move on. Mm. You know, and I think that, to Stefan's point, like the headspace and the maturity, I think, that we were trying to sort of like that, we were trying to thread that needle of having it be like the first record without actually repeating the things we did on the first record. Having John as a sort of guiding hand for that was very, very helpful and positive and special.
I was just reminded by hearing Steve talk about one of the most important pieces of advice that he bestowed on us. He was like, bands are always looking to find problems with their songs, looking for the problems. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you can do that?
Yeah. From all accounts that I have heard, it does seem like he's a very funny guy, but a very wise guy, and kind of allows, I think one of you used the term like to get out of your own like headspace. I think that from all accounts, it does seem like he's very good in terms of just focusing on the actual music at hand and not the thoughts that kind of ruminate within a musician's brain in terms of like that perfection or that getting certain things right. What was it? In the song Get Dumber, I think that there's a line where, who was it? Was it Jeff? Yeah, and he's saying, he just sang, lyrics. Which is, I kind of like love that. I think that's kind of like its own selling point in the song. It works really well.
We were sitting in the control room while Stefan and Jeff were doing that, and we all turned to each other and we were like, oh, that's really funny, but there's no way that Stefan and Jeff are going to want to keep that. So like, we should just, we'll keep it. We won't blow it away. And if they want to redo it, whatever, they can redo it. And they both came in and when they listened back to it, we're like, that's really funny. And we all kind of are sitting in the room being like, that is so funny. It's not the lyric at all. Jeff totally just like, you know, it's a lot of words. He's like, it's very breathy. They were like in the room together, like jumping, like screaming at each other, doing the song. And I swear to you, I don't remember what the actual lyric is.
I'll tell you without telling you what the lyric was. That was the worst fucking lyric I wrote on the whole record. And it was serendipitous that Jeff fucked that one up because I was like, that lyric sucks. And this is funny as hell. Let's go.
And, you know, I think it's just speaks to like that. It kind of feels quintessentially like, the moments with John, he was at the board. He's the guy hitting spacebar to record, you know, like he has that kind of, he knows what the essence of the song is supposed to be almost like before we did in certain scenarios. And Get Dumber was one of those songs where I feel like it really kind of, was apparent to us. Like we made the right decision.
I absolutely love that. Well, I think that, yeah, the album is fantastic, and John and yourselves obviously have done a very good job with that. I was hoping I might be a little bit self-indulgent and ask about one of my favorite tracks on the record. I really enjoyed Best Revenge. It's near the tail end of the record. I thought that there was a beautiful kind of balance of talking about the trials or the tribulations of life, but also the acceptance and the it is what it is of it almost in a way. And I think that you've done it very well on that track. Wondering whether one of you or both of you might be able to talk about the creation or the inspiration from that track and how it kind of got to its point where it is on the record.
Oh, I love it. Stefan, this is awesome. Polarizing, very polarizing song.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize then if I've
No, not at all. It's fascinating. This is the coolest thing about making a record, other than the fact that it is impossible, like that it is a compulsion, that it's never perfect. So you have to keep doing it if you like making records. That's probably, Stefan, would you agree that song maybe came the closest to being overcooked of any of these songs on this record?
Oh, it's overcooked. It is overcooked.
Yeah. We changed the key. Mm-hmm. We did something on the demo in the intro that we couldn't fully recreate. There was a lot of demo love on that one.
We recorded it like 4 or 5 different times. Before we got in there with John. Twice with John.
I'm just trying to think. I'm like pulling. Yeah, just you got to keep asking questions, I think, because I'm like trying to pull stuff. But like you obviously wrote the lyrics.
What I might do then. Oh no, you go, Stefan. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay if you have a direction you want to go with this, but.
Well, I thought maybe if from the band's perspective that it is like a little bit more overcooked than some of the rest of it. It obviously still has its place on the record. We've still been lucky enough to listen to it and it's coming out. What got it across the line then? What brought it back from not being too overcooked that it wasn't right for the record then?
Here's what I will say. I think that it's a good song. I think it's one of the 12 best songs we wrote. Of the 30-ish songs that were kind of written for this record, it was definitely a top 12, and it is still a top 12. I think that everybody who's heard the record and like, like our publicists and our managers and stuff, everyone felt that Best Revenge should be a single. And this is not a self-sabotagey thing. We're
good at that too sometimes, but
we are good at self-sabotage. Yeah. But the reason it was not a single is it's very simple. It's like we wrote this song, we thought it was pretty good. We worked on it to a point where it was good and felt worked on, and then we kept going. We made this mistake many times over the past decade with songs where it's like we kept going. We kept going to the point that like it starts to lose its magic and you start to resent the song in a weird way. Mm-hmm. And so by the time this song is, and this is a fucking wild thing to be telling people the week our record's coming out, right? But like the thing is like you get to this point where you have these complicated feelings because, like the song is special. Like there was something that we all like loved about the song. We were all like so enthusiastic about it at the beginning, which is why we overworked it so much because we were so excited about it. Mm-hmm. But you get to a point where you spent so much time, you've overanalyzed every single little moment that while it might feel special to somebody who's listening to it, it feels less special to us because we just ground it to dust. So I do think it's a really good song. I'm really proud of it. A lot of people that I trust have told me it's their favorite song on the record, and that's great. I think our decision to not make it a single came from us being like, we overcooked this. We're sick of this song a bit, and it would be a poor decision of ours to have this be the song that we have to spend the most amount of time with moving forward. And that's not to say that the song isn't good and we're not proud of it. It's just to say that like sometimes you fuck up and you take things too far, and we fucked up,
I think that there's also something to be said. I know as at the start of the conversation, we spoke about that this was recorded about over a year ago or so. And so you've been living with these songs longer than anyone else. You know the nuances. They're obviously songs that you've lived with for a very long time. And what we've spoken about with other songwriters is that for better or for worse is that you kind of see all the different aspects of this song, the different perspectives that it can kind of take, and then have to live with that in a way. And that's both for the record, for live shows, things like that. So I think it's very fair that you've, I don't think it's self-sabotaging. I think it's actually very honest and refreshing. So I appreciate the honesty, gentlemen, when it comes to kind of talking about that song and I guess the mixed feelings that come with it.
Yeah, it's like one of those funny things where you're like, oh yeah, but you didn't hear the bridge when it was like the other thing. Like, and I'm like, of course you didn't, because nobody other than like the one drummer who was always in our like rehearsal space playing at like 1 PM and us, like the only people, that's the 5 people who've heard that bridge, is like the drummer across the hall, you know, and it's like, I don't even think that bridge was right, because if it were right, it would be in the song. But like, it's just that sort of like, I think it speaks to having that connection where you're like, oh yeah, this is why you keep making records, is because you have moments like this where you look back and you go, oh, we didn't nail it there. And like, that's okay. That's cool. You know?
Yeah, 100%. I think if there's a Who Will Look After the Dogs B-sides companion EP, or, you know, maybe digital release that has some of those things, very much look forward to hearing it maybe in its original iteration. Conscious of time, I do want to very quickly bring up the fact that you are coming back down to Australia to visit us in August, which is very exciting. I know that there's a lot of people and fans down here excited to see you guys and play some of these songs. Wondering, you're not new to Australia. You've played down here once or twice before. Any key memories from previous tours or times visiting down here?
We went to Hobart on that day off. That was really cool. We spent a couple days in Hobart just kind of going around. I mean, Party in the Paddock.
Mm-hmm.
I remember playing that festival. That was really cool. I think that was in Tasmania as well. Where did we, I don't know, play cricket on the beach and like take mushrooms or something? Yeah, in Byron. The shows have all been great too. Don't get me wrong, but
you know, we're lucky enough that we've done a couple short tours of Australia, like the normal like North American band comes across and plays their 4 or 5 shows. We've also done, like, we did a tour that was something like 24 shows in Australia. So we've seen some fucked up places. There's a lot of freaks, a lot of people drinking each other's piss and drinking beers out of shoes and doing crazy stuff. And that's really funny for us. This will be our first time also back to Perth since that tour, which was almost 10 years ago. And I have fond memories of that place. And I love Australia. I think everyone is like, everyone that is going to rock gigs is shameless in a great way. If that makes sense. Like,
yes.
People just like seem just like less concerned about looking like a fool than they do in the rest of the world, and that's very refreshing and wonderful. Australia is probably my favorite place to play, so looking forward to it.
That is very exciting to hear, and some of these things you described, you're not wrong. We definitely do have our fair share of both civilized and non-civilized people, but all fans of music.
It's very much like Canada in that regard, honestly. Like it's you know, I think our shared colonial history breeds a very specific, strange mindset.
I would agree with that. I think, yes, that's probably pretty spot on. Gentlemen, I do want to wrap things up by asking, we usually ask, I guess, what they're currently listening to. Stephen, I might ask yourself first. Is there anything that's on high rotation?
I've been trying to dig into some new stuff from the past couple of years that I haven't really had time. But yeah, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. No, I was actually listening to a lot of Australian bands recently. Like I had a big King Giz phase. I've been going back and revisiting some of the Courtney Barnett stuff that I really, really love. Yeah, and I'm just a lot of guitar players. I don't know, Bill Frisell and the stuff that I love, kind of jazzy, instrumental, challenging, angular stuff that nobody, even my wife, when we were in the car, she's like, "Can you change the music?" And I'm like, "Yes, I will."
Look, very fair. Some lovely choices there. Stefan, what about yourself?
If I'm choosing like recent stuff, I've been enjoying the new Great Grandpa record and the new Deaf Heaven record. But giving no publicity to the evil people, I've recently changed music services, so my library went back to zero. So I've kind of started going back to a lot of my roots and revisiting my like favorite records to kind of like get the algorithm going again. And so there's been a lot of like Weaker Thans. I don't know if Weaker Thans ever had a moment in Australia, but they're like cult icons in Canada, and I think they're probably one of the great rock bands of our generation. Definitely John K. Samson, the singer, is one of the great lyricists of our generation. So I've been diving a lot back into that stuff, that era of music recently. Feels good. I haven't listened to it in a long time.
Some absolutely fantastic choices there, guys. So thank you very much for sharing that. And thank you very much for coming onto the podcast. The brand new pup record is Who Will Look After the Dogs. It's out now when people are listening. But Stefan and Stephen, thank you so much for coming onto the pod.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.